Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, friends, family, random passers-by. Today we are tackling the latest book in the fighting fantasy franchise. Yes, it is Crystal of Storms, published just a few days ago, 2020. This is the 69th book in the main series Fighting Fantasy, by which I mean I don't include Sorcery by Steve Jackson, but all the other ones that have been released by the three different publishers. A little bit rusty this morning, a little bit of mucus at the back of my throat. Excuse me. But I do have a cup of tea to remedy that. So here we are, nice cup of tea. Yummy. Okay. And a bit of water as well, which I will need. Right, so I usually don't say this, but because this is a new book, I'm going to say it. Anyway, there will be spoilers in this video. There are always, it sort of goes without saying. I'm playing the game in the video, so obviously absolutely everything is a spoiler as far as the game is concerned. If you are planning to read this book and you're bothered by knowing anything about it, do not watch it. Do not watch this video. If you're the kind of person who don't mind and you'll enjoy it anyway, then please feel free to watch it. Excuse me. I usually fall into the latter category. Indeed, I remember when I was in primary school, and of course I had quite a strict bedtime, which I think was a good thing because I was actually quite regular time in bed, very regular time asleep, which I think did me rather well actually. But sometimes, of course, there were programs on TV that I couldn't watch, and this being Norway in the 80s, we had one channel, everyone watched the same things. And sometimes people were talking about it later in school, and so you came to school the next day, there'd been some exciting program on a little bit after my bedtime, or something that was a little bit too grown up for me, which it probably was if it was broadcast after 9 o'clock in the evening, let's be honest. And somebody would tell me about it. So I remember vividly, actually, how a friend of mine told me the story of Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, and I didn't mind because even if I knew it, I could watch it and enjoy it, because the thing about a good story, I think, is that's almost a cliche, isn't it? Ooh, if you read someone the last page of a whodunit, this will ruin it for them. No, I'm not like that at all. Actually, if I knew the last page of a whodunit, I'd still enjoy getting there. It's not the surprise or anything that's does it for me. It's how the story is told that does it for me a lot more than the ending itself. So maybe the one exception perhaps could have been The Usual Suspects. Maybe, nobody told me the ending of that. Which I think is okay. But I still probably would enjoy watching it again, even though I know the ending, because it's getting there that's also part of the enjoyment of the story again. So if a whole story hinges on the ending and everything that's in between doesn't really matter so much, as it's you trying to guess the ending, that's not a really good story, let's be honest. Anyway, I'm digressing now completely. So the point was, there will be spoilers. Absolutely everything in this video will be a spoiler if you want to play this game on your own and you don't want to know anything about it or any other choices made or any other battles or any other monsters or anything of that sort. So that out of the way, let's get started. So I've got my usual supplies ready here. I've got my book, got my dice, a character sheet, which you may see is conspicuously blank. I will fill that in a moment. And a map, which is also very blank, actually, but I will also fill that in as we go along. My blue pen has been retired because it started getting a bit smudgy last time. So that is out of the way. I'll just move this tea as well. And also, I'll just double check we're recording sound. Yes, we are. Right. So let's get started. I think we have our usual standard default default. Oh, the rules are at the back. I'm not going to get used to that, am I? Ooh, it's got a nice new book smell as well. I'm not used to the old book smell now, the fighting fantasy books, the old ones. Anyway, we have skill. Oh, your camera there is going into shot there. They're not supposed to go into shot there, are you? This camera is supposed to... There we are. Okay. Maybe I'll move it a little bit so the other camera doesn't go into shot as easily. So if I move down here now, looks like that might work. Okay. So I got this camera here set to auto follow, so it tries to follow me around as I wiggle around in my chair. And the other one is just statically looking down here. That doesn't have auto follow. Right. Skill, stamina, and block. Skill, a decent 11. Stamina, 18, possibly doable. And luck, no, I'm going to reroll ones these days, I think. 5, okay. Because having the minimum scores, it makes for a slightly more boring experience sometimes, I find, because dying is so much easier. And also, if the abilities are what holds you back from enjoying the game, I mean, after all, it is a book. I think that it's better to have to reroll just to sort of get something that is more playable. Right. Testing skill and stamina. Okay, so that's unusual. I haven't seen this before, actually. It says you may also be told to test your stamina from time to time. To do so, roll 3 dice. Okay. Test skill. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Lock equipment. Because you don't have any provisions, any potions, anything in this game. That wouldn't really suit the setting either. Yes. Code words. I see the character here that got something called code words here. So I presume there's sort of a piece of information you get to learn that will be relevant to what you can do later. Okay, so let's get the background read up again. I did read it when I did my episode 0, but I'll do it again now. After a bit of tea. Sorry about all the clearing of my throat, because the thing is, when the weather turns for autumn like it does now, and also for spring as well, I just get very mucusy in the mornings. And it often takes me a while just to clear my throat up. Also, it's that going from horizontal to vertical as well, and yeah. And normally I don't notice, but because I'm reading out loud, I notice the mucus at the back of my throat better, and I notice if I get some in my nose as well very easily, and otherwise I just get on with it because it's just there and it doesn't bother me. But when it starts moving around because of reading or talking, I suppose, it's a little bit more noticeable and annoying. Sorry about that. Right. Background. The Tempest children of Pangara, god of the wind, have long reigned over the waters between Alancia and Kul. Many who sought to cross the perilous ocean of tempests have lost their lives to the raging storms or the terrifying sea creatures that dwell there. But deep within Zephyrus, largest of all the tempests, where the air is sweet and calm, lies the floating archipelago of Pangaria. The 5 islands of Cirrus, Altos, Cumulus, Incus, and Asperitas surround a 6th small island known as Nimbus. You were born and raised in Pangaria, but whilst many of your friends have opted to join the working communities of their home isles, such as Cloudkin, farming on the water island of Altos, or wrangling the magical yet tasty fauna of Cirrus, you dreamed bigger. You didn't want to settle for just one island, you wanted to see it all. And so you decided to join the Skywatch, the guardians of peace within the whole of Pangaria. But your beloved home has a lot of peace to go round, and your first few weeks in the Skywatch have been a rather dull parade of lost pets and mediating petty squabbles regarding overgrown shrubs. Well, these are really, really important things to do. I mean, after all, this is what law enforcement is meant to sort out in a perfect world. Your heart cries out for adventure. And then one fine morning, an urgent message arrives at your watch house, summoning all the Skywatch to an emergency meeting in the Citadel on Nimbus. It seems that adventure has finally listened and answered your plea. Full of nervous excitement, your entire watch house boards the local flyer, one of the small airships that transport Pangarians between islands. No one seems to know the purpose of the meeting, but it is bound to be something quite extraordinary for the entire Skywatch to be summoned. You've only been to the Citadel once, when you were sworn into the Skywatch, and it still holds newness and excitement for you. Stretching, you lean your head out of the flyer window and crane your neck in order to get the first glimpse of the towering spires and sculpted ramparts of the Citadel, the home of Pangaria's lawmakers, diplomats, and island officials. The flyer's goblin pilot warily reminds you to keep all limbs inside the ship, lest you lose something essential. Although you've heard tell that there are tribes of goblins out in the world who are aggressive towards humans and other species, the goblins of Pangaria are largely friendly. Most importantly, they developed the technomancy, a blend of elemental magic and engineering that keeps Pangaria airborne. And of course, this is indeed how goblins are portrayed in many contemporary fantasy settings, like World of Warcraft and other ones too. I mean, the goblins are tinkerers, they are engineers, that sort of thing, technicians, and of course, what they do seems a bit like magic sometimes, and sometimes it is a bit like magic. But this is what goblins have turned into, rather than the original thing, which was like a sort of a weaker version of an orc in many ways. And I quite like the new goblins better than the old goblins, to be honest. You're just about to disembark and take your first steps onto Nimbus when your commander, Captain Halleck, looks aghast. "By Zephyrus's breath," he exclaims, looking directly at you. "I've forgotten my hovers. Can't be seen in the Citadel without those. Please retrieve them from the watchhouse, recruit." That's not how a commander would talk, is he? He wouldn't say please. He would just tell you to do it. He pats at his pocket, searching for something. "Bring my coin bag too." You nod. As the newest member of your watch house, you don't really have a choice. Remaining on board the flyer as the rest of the watch disembarks, you hope you can get there and back without missing anything exciting. Seeing your frustration, the flyer's pilot softens and cranks up the craft to its top speed and brings you right up to the watchhouse door. You rush inside and soon return, clutching the small leather purse, jingling with coins, and carrying Halleck's hovers. Up close, you can't help but marvel at the intricate light-as-air metalwork of these portable wings, powered by storm crystals, harvested and gathered from the local tempest by the elemental stormborns. You look forward to the day when you are senior enough to get your own pair. You check the crystal gauge, which is attached to a small blue-green storm crystal that has a tiny imprisoned tempest swirling inside it. It's a third full, but there's no time to charge the wings. You throw yourself back into the flyer. The little airship has barely had time to set down when you leap from the bulwark and start to sprint towards the Citadel. Suddenly a great explosion rocks Nimbus, and a wave of energy surges outwards from the fortress, catapulting you through the air and over the edge of the island. You begin to plummet downwards. Your adventure awaits! May your stamina never fail. It's become a slogan, hasn't it, for fighting fantasy eventually. Now turn over. And I suppose the cogs then make a bit more sense, because I was wondering about the cogs here. But of course, if you sort of doing that goblin technomancy, I suppose that's a bit sort of like your sort of steampunk ideas, really. So in many fantasy settings, the goblins actually are including more of that steampunk aesthetic into the high fantasy game world. So it's a kind of a blend, which is quite nice, I think. Anyway, let's get started. So, character sheet aside, I do know that I have hovers and a pouch of gold. I don't know how much gold I've got, though. Pouch of gold. Okay. Then we have one down here. This is all in shot. Yes, it is. The explosion has knocked the wind out of you. There's only one thing you can do to save yourself as you tumble through the howling air. You manage to struggle into Halleck's hovers, and the wings unfold with a soft thwack, thwack, thwack sound. Your fall ceases as the hovers slow your descent and hold you aloft. Your relief turns to fear as you look up and realize that now it's Nimbus which is falling straight towards you. Using your shoulder muscles to operate the hovers, you manage to steer yourself out of the path of the falling island as it hurtles past, tossing you around like a feather on the breeze. You gain control only to see Nimbus crashing into the sea far below. You watch in horror as the island begins to sink beneath the waves. You become aware of an unsettling humming sound, and the wings begin to shudder. The crystal that powers the hovers must be running out of charge. There's just enough power left to fly you to the safety of your home island. If your home island is Cirrus, the farming island, turn to 84. If your home island is Altos, the water island, turn to 196. If your home island is Cumulus, the island of trade, turn to 298. Do I know where my home island is? I'm just deciding that now. That wasn't in the introduction, was it? So I'm just deciding which one to go to, really. So does this mean, presumably, that you have actually... Is there some kind of replayability mechanism where you have 3 different things, or certainly beginnings of the game, depending on which or you choose here in the beginning, which I think, if that is the case, that is quite good in terms of replayability. So we have 1, 2, and 3 options. So we have 84, Cirrus, 196, Altos, and 298, Cumulus. So farming, water, or trade. I want to start in Cirrus. I'll go with the farming island and see where that gets us. Nice big numbers on the pages here. Oh. It's a crab holding someone. That reminds me of the island of the lizard. What do you call it? Island of the Lizard King. Yes. On the beach there. Sorry, I lost my track now. Where am I going? I'm going to 84. The last of the storm crystal's energy is draining away when Cirrus comes into view. You're relieved to see this green and pleasant isle, which produces much of the magically enhanced fruit, vegetables, and grains that feed Pangaea. Inexperienced, magically enhanced. Is that like genetic engineering? Just magic, so it's okay. Like GMO, MMO. Magically modified organisms, MMOs, yes. Inexperienced at guiding the hovers, you make a swift but shaky descent. The lush, verdant turf of Cirrus rushes up to meet you. Test your luck. Okay. So we have a luck test. Luck test. And we are either... so 36, lucky. 151 unlucky. Okay, so luck is 11. I roll 7. Luck goes down by 1. And I am lucky, and I go to 36. Need some more tea, I think. Let's see, I'll just put that there. Right, okay. With the crystal's warning alarm ringing in your ears, you manage to steer the hovers gently down to Cirrus. The wings fold up behind you as you stare across to where Nimbus used to be. Now there's nothing but air and dust, which crackles with a strange energy. Whatever brought the island down must have been incredibly powerful. Turn to 321. 321. Now, by the way, this is the first time I've read a scholastic book, and of course, I know some people who experienced these first quite like the illustrations, and I don't mind them actually. The problem with them is they look like they should be in color. They look like they're done in color and then just turned into black and white. This actually, I quite like this style actually in this book. Although I do prefer the sort of the old black and white line style of the originals, the original Puffin series. These are actually quite nice, it looks like. And this is, just by the way, does it say who the illustrations are by here now? Anywhere? It says cover illustration by Eva Eskelinen. Sounds like a Finnish name. Eskelinen. But who is responsible for the... yes, that's her as well. So Eva Eskelinen. Is that a Finnish name? Anyway. Where am I? 321. I'm supposed to go. I'm digressing again. Sorry about that. Right, so here we are. That's a long paragraph. Right, here we are. I didn't think you were going to make it. A familiar voice breaks you from your thoughts. It's Silas, an old friend of yours and the best vine wrangler in the whole of Cirrus. I saw the explosion from here. What happened? But you have no idea, and those who do have just plummeted into the ocean of tempests far below. You touch your badge sadly as you realize that you may be the only member of the Skywatch left in Pangaria. Well, I suppose you're the commander of the Skywatch in that case. Sadness gives way to a new resolve. You are going to find out what happened to Nimbus before the rest of Pangaria starts to fall from the sky. If you can charge up Halleck's hovers, you will have a valuable piece of equipment at your disposal. You've also managed to keep hold of his coin bag. You're pretty sure that he won't mind your borrowing it in the line of duty. At 10 gold pieces. So I got 10 gold pieces. And I see that Rihanna Pratchett, she goes for the more modern... where am I now? Yes. That he won't mind you borrowing it rather than you're borrowing it, of course, which is the technically correct and historically accurate. Because borrowing is not a verb. Well, it is a verb, but it's not used as a verb. So it's a noun. Anyway. So, you check your waist. Your trusty short sword is still there. You get the feeling you might need it. Add the short sword to you. Okay, so short sword. I admire your resolve, my friend, says Silas, supportively slapping you on the back. I'd better come with you and bring my best pitchfork. Something out there clearly wants to keep you alive, and I aim to help it. At least whilst you're on Cirrus. How about we investigate the plume of blue-green smoke coming from that far field? I don't like the look of that one bit. Silas's support is heartening. As long as he is traveling with you, you may add 2 points when calculating your attack strength. Okay, that's an interesting mechanic there. So we got allies, actually. So we got, I put just allies there, and I say Silas +2. You may increase any damage you cause by 1 point. Okay, so that's +2, +1. And you may reduce any damage you suffer in battle by 1 point, so -1. Okay, so +2 attack strength, +1 damage, -1 damage taken. Interesting, very interesting. And if that is going to be something that happens through the game, I think that sounds like a very good game mechanic, actually. I don't know if that's been used in any previous Fighting Fantasy game books, because I've only got to about 15 now. Which means I got most of them left. But if that is a new thing in this book, I really like that. Okay. Right, says Silas. Where are we off to? If you want to go to the local watch house to search for supplies, turn to 49. So, okay, so we have Silas there, and then we have watch house, or 137 smoke. Okay, let's go straight for the smoke. You make your way across Cirrus towards the blue-green plume of smoke. Worried farmers approach you, asking what happened on Nimbus. All you can tell them is to keep calm, stay indoors, and that the Skywatch is looking into it. Yeah. You manage to sound more convincing than you feel. Well, if you sound convincing, that's good. When you reach the edge of the field that is the source of the smoke plume, you realize that it's not smoke at all, but a swirling blue-green mist, which is coming from a large storm crystal shard that is half embedded in the middle of a cabbage field, close to a small shed. It looks like a much bigger version of the one in the hovers nestled on your back, although it is very cracked and clearly badly damaged. It must have landed here after the explosion on the Nimbus. If you want to charge up your hover's storm crystal and Silas is with you, turn to 51. If you want to charge up your hover's storm crystal and Silas is not with you, turn to 211. Is that a possibility? And if you want to investigate the shed, turn to 376. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. So 51, charge Silas, 211, charge alone, 376, shed. I'll have a look at the shed first, actually. I'm sure I can do the charging afterwards. On the way to the shed, you pass by an empty wooden frame. A crow perches on it, preening itself. It caws angrily and takes flight when a large cabbage is hurled at it. A straw-filled figure lumbers out from behind the shed. It's the frame's original occupant, an enraged scarecrow. It plucks a couple of heavy-looking cabbages and aims them at your head. Oh dear, cabbages. Right, okay, so he's got a skill of 6 and a stamina of 5. I've got 11 skill, but I got +2 for Silas, so I've got 13 and 18. Okay, so I've got a 7-point skill advantage. Scarecrow rolls too little. And of course he takes 1 extra damage, so he's down to 2. He rolls a 6, I roll a 4, and the Scarecrow is very easily dispatched off. So, and I win, and I go to 271. That's here 6, 5, 2, 7 more. I'm not allowed to. That's a bit rubbish. I'm not allowed to charge my thing after looking at the shed. Oh well. The Scarecrow explodes in a ball of straw and cabbages. As you do. You breathe a sigh of relief. You've heard that cabbage leaves can be soothing, so you take 2 with you just in case. Okay. So we've got cabbage leaves. Noting that each will restore 2 stamina points when used. So 2 cabbage leaves, and they are +2 stamina. Okay. Now you can reach a little shed. You find a small hand axe and a calming potion. Inside. So we've got small hand axe and a calming potion. Now, if you want to head to the north of Sirius and search for a goblin flyer, turn to 255. If you want to visit the local watch house, if you haven't already done so, go to 49. Okay. So we can go to 49, or we can go to 255 flyer. But I still wanted to recharge my wings. Let's go to the watch house anyway and have a look and see. You head for the watch house. There must be something you can scavenge there. You're passing by a field of gently waving corn when you become aware of a growing chittering sound. The sound gets louder and louder as more creatures join in. The stalks begin to ripple as something surges towards you and erupts out of the corn. It's a horde of corn rats. These usually peaceful pests have been aggravated by the surge of energy from the explosion on Nimbus and have ditched their regular vegetarian diet for something a little meatier. You. Rabid rat horde. Why rabid? They're not rabid, are they? They don't have rabies, surely. Yeah, okay. So they've got a skill of 6 and a stamina of 10, and I'm 13, 18. So that is a 7-point skill advantage again. They roll 8, we roll 8. They're down to 7. They roll 10, I roll 8. They're down to 4, 5, and 10. They're down to 1 hit point. And finally, they roll 12, and I roll 6, which means that I actually beat them without getting injured. So 6, 10, and you win and go to 109. Okay. The rabid corn rats lay slain at your feet. You notice 2 ears of ripe corn have fallen to the ground during the battle. Add 2 ears of corn to the provisions box on your adventure sheet. Each one will restore 3 stamina points. Okay, so I've got 2 ears of corn. Okay, so this is actually quite a good way to do provisions as well. Instead of having them with you, you pick them up on the way and also pick up potions like the calming potion, which I don't know how that works though. To continue to the watch house, so it's 243. So that's a 243. Let's just see. 2 corn plus 3, and the other one had 2 cabbage plus 2. Just so I remember where I get these bonuses from. When you reach the watch house, you notice that some grapevines from the local vineyard seem to be growing closer to the building than you remember. You hurry inside. The emptiness within reminds you of the loss of your friends and fellow recruits in the Skywatch. You fervently hope that they still might be alive. You head for the barracks, hoping that some of the recruits' chests might be open so you can search them for any useful supplies. If Cirrus is your home island, turn to 15. If Cirrus is not your home island, turn to 123. This is... Which island was this again now? This is Cirrus, isn't it? Yes. So basically, it's a character choice, I guess. The beginning there, I mean, you select which island is your home, and it affects certain things when you're there, which is interesting. So 1, 2, 3, Cirrus, not home, and 15, Sirius home. Okay, so this is my home island. You have the key to your own chest, whilst another has caught Silas's attention. Checking the rest, you discover that one is unlocked. Oh dear, disciplinary action coming up. If you want to search your chest, turn to 217. If you want to open the unlocked chest, turn to 65. If you want to see what Silas has found, turn to 134. And why do you have to pick between those? Why can't you just do all of them in one go? Right, so 217, 65, or 134. So that is yours. Unlocked. And Silas. Let's just check what Silas has found. After a sip of tea. Silas gestures to one of the chests. The lock on this one looks pretty old, he says. I reckon I can get it opened with my pitchfork. He levers the pitchfork under the lock and lifts it sharply. The lock breaks with a clank. He peers inside and begins to poke through its contents with his pitchfork. Phew, someone in here does not like to wash their socks. These could be useful. He passes you a potion of might and 1 gold piece. Okay, so 11 gold pieces, and we got a potion of might. Potion of might will add 2 points to your attack strength for the duration of 1 battle, so that's +2 strength. Okay. Right. What's left for you to do? If you want to check your chest, if you haven't already done so, turn to 217. If you want to search the unlocked chests, turn to 65. So we got... or if you want to leave the watch house, turn to 335. So that's another one up there. Leave. Okay. I want to check out the other unlocked chest. Surely if there was something interesting in your chest, you would have told us by now, wouldn't you? I would hope. You wonder briefly why the chest has been left unlocked, but when you lift the lid, you find out. The chest bites down on your hand, lose 2 stamina points and 1 skill point. Okay. 16, 10. Okay, so that is my first non-thing to do then. Okay, so -2 stamina, -1 skill, and this is a 5, 6. The chest bites down on your hand and starts to bark and growl at you. It snaps its lid aggressively. You notice that the chest belongs to Private Seacrest, and remember what a trickster he was. You quietly curse him under your breath. If you have a calming potion and want to use it now, cross it off your equipment list. If not, you are going to have to fight the chest creature. So, if you win, go to 238. Okay, so it's got 5, 6. I need to hit it twice. So 5, 6, and I got a combat strength of 12. And I got 16 stamina. So I got a 7-point skill advantage as usual. It seems 9, 4. He's down to 3. And finally, perhaps 10 and 5. The chest is dead. Okay. Excuse me. And I win. I go to 238. Okay. The spell leaves the chest and the lid sinks down, lifeless once more. Inside you find a flask of fire oil. There's so much stuff to pick up now. Fire oil. And a piece of paper. You unfold the paper carefully. It looks like a page torn out of a ledger from one of the fishery docks in Incas. A few names are marked on the page, but one name, Commander Matthias Talaman, has been circled several times. Scroll next to it are the words, "Where is he?" Right, so Commander Matthias Talaman, where? Question mark. And that is a piece of paper. So you can add the Incas ledger page and the firewall to your adventure sheet. The firewall can be used once to light a fire, or it can be used against an opponent at the start of a battle and will automatically cause your enemy 3 stamina points of damage. So +3 damage or light fire. You catch sight of yourself in a copper water jug. Turn to 177. Okay. 177. You look like death warmed up, my friend, Silas remarks at your disheveled appearance. You realize that you've been held up by a mixture of fear, adrenaline, and anger until this point. Now you could do with a little old-fashioned shut-eye. If you want to take a nap, turn to 91. Alternatively, choosing something you've not already tried, do you want to search your chest, see what Silas has found, or leave the watch house? Okay. So, a nap, perhaps a nap. Okay, so we've got... so we can go to there, or there. I'm going to search my own chest, I think, first. You search through your meager possessions and find 2 dried fish, a healing potion, and 2 gold pieces. And I've need more space for equipment in this this game than usual, because this is really adding up now. So there's dried fish, so 2 dried fish, healing potion, and 2 gold pieces. So then we've got 13 gold pieces. And the dried fish will restore up to 2 stamina points, plus 2 stamina. A healing potion will restore up to 4 stamina points. Right, which probably means it's time for me to eat a dried fish. So I've got 1 dried fish left, and my stamina is back to 18. And that leaves leave 335. I forgot to put what was in which place. There's so much stuff everywhere. It's hard to keep track on the map of what's where now. Let's see. Just have to make a note of these things. I don't know what's relevant yet. So there is healing potion. So there's healing fish, 2 gold, and then on 177. No, 238 is the one with the stuff there. Maybe it's not going to be red, because maybe some of those things you find there is actually more important. So it's, I'll just remove the red from that place there. So that is paper, fire oil. Okay. Then finally I can leave 335. Okay. You head for the watch house door. You're just about to step through when whoosh, 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 vine tendrils shoot across in front of you, blocking your exit. A bunch of grapes explode, showering you with an acidic goo. Lose 2 stamina points. Okay, so we're down to 16 again. The rest of the vines start to creep across the ground towards you. If you want to use a calming potion on the plant, turn to 223. Okay, let's see. So we can use a calming potion, like so. 223. Calming. If not, you are going to need to fight the vines if you want to get out of here alive. Grapes of Wrath. That's funny. Well. Okay, so 7 and 8. If you win, turn to 32. Oh, I forgot to do the battle now, actually. Okay, I'm not going to 32 yet. I'm going to fight first. Okay, so we've got... I got 13... No, 12... 12, 16... 12, 16, 12, 16, and the Grapes of Wrath have 7, 8. Which means I've got a 5 skill point advantage. Let's go. He rolls 5, 12, so they're down to 5, 9, 5, down to 2, and finally for 10, and the Grapes of Wrath are dead. Okay. You fight your way through the angry vines until they retreat away from the door, giving you enough time to escape. You notice a bunch of unexploded grapes lying on the floor. You prod them very gently with your sword, but they seem more stable when not connected to the vine. It will take more force to activate their corrosive properties. Thinking they might come in useful, you carefully put them in a small leather pouch and take them with you. Add the corrosive grapes to your adventures sheet. Okay. I think that the adventure sheets here are too small because, I mean, provisions, yeah, sure, but weapons. There should be one for... Yeah, no, it's quickly going to fill up here, even though some of it goes in provisions, some goes in weapons. Yeah. Anyway. Corrosive grapes. So, grapes. You leave the watch house and are just wondering if you should go to the north of Cirrus and locate a goblin flyer to take you onwards to the other islands when you hear an indistinct yelling in the distance. If you want to follow the sound of the yelling, turn to 168. If you want to investigate the plume of blue-green smoke, turn to 137. If you want to head north, turn to 255. Okay, so we've got 3 options now. And they are as follows. There's a new one, which is the sound of the yelling, so yelling. Otherwise, it is the ones we've had before. Now I want to recharge my my flyer, so I'm going to go to the smoke. Now, by the way, what happens with... I'll just have to curious now. What happens with allies when you're fighting? Do they actually... Can they die? Does it say anything about that? It doesn't actually say anything about it at all. Okay. Right, so... I was just wondering, because it did say that... yes, because you can go to this island when this is not your home island, which means that Silas would not be your ally. You would have a different ally or companion, probably, if this was not your home. And so, yeah, that's why it's said in... when you get to the crystals, that whether you have him as your ally or not. So anyway, I'm going to go investigate smoke again. So you make your way across Cirrus towards a blue-green plume of smoke. Worried farmers approach you asking about what happened on Nimbus, blah, blah, blah. I've done this before, really. So So if you want to charge up your hover Storm Crystal and Silas is with you, turn to 51. That's the one I want to go to now. And see if I can make this work. So you press your Storm Crystal to the largest shard. A force of energy knocks you back. Luckily, Silas catches you. Lose 2 stamina points. Okay. Looks like the crystal is too volatile to charge from, says Silas, helping you up. You break off a small piece of the shard near one of the cracks and examine it. Strangely, the damage seems to be on the inside of the crystal. You can see worn grooves and cracks on the inside and a strange black residue on the outside. Okay, so that is maybe a clue to what's going on here. So Storm Crystal. Perhaps you can find someone who will be able to tell you where the crystal came from and what broke it. Maybe then you'll be able to find out what happened on Nimbus. If you want to visit the watch house, if you haven't already, turn to 49. If you want to investigate the shed, turn to 376. Okay, so now actually I have investigated the shed before. There's a bit of a circular thing going on here. That seems unavoidable, actually. So, crystal. So I'm not going to fight that battle again. I am going to go to make the new choice in 271, which is to go to the Goblin Flyer, 255. It did actually not say when you left the watch house, it didn't say if you haven't done so already for the smoke. So I'm actually investigating it twice now, and it was given as an option twice, and it didn't say if you haven't done so before. Interestingly, maybe an oversight, maybe that wasn't intentional. In any case, 255, yes, that's where I'm going. Right. You reach the north end of Cirrus and look for the Goblin Flyer, which normally takes the inhabitants onto the other islands. You eventually find the flyer, but its balloon is deflated, and its goblin pilot is rummaging angrily in his tool bag whilst muttering to himself. You approach him carefully. Turn to 346. 3, 4, 6. Would you look at that, he grumbles, gesturing to his damaged balloon when he sees you approach. I was just having a spot of lunch and minding my own business when I hears a huge bang and a great big rock hits the old girl and gives her a gaping big hole in her side. Sounds like he should be talking Cockney, doesn't he? And dropped me best pie over the edge of the island. I can't do Cockney, sorry. He sadly strokes the deflated balloon. There, old girl, he murmurs gently. As soon as Grax finds you a patch and some glue, we'll get you up and floating about again. You ask if you can be of any help. Thank you, officer, says Grax, looking a little more cheerful. If you happen upon something I can fashion into a patch, that would help. Or if you've got some coin, you can charge up the crystal in those hovers of yours. They won't take you to the furthest islands, but they should get you to Altus or Cumulus. Usually you'd be able to use the Skybridge to Cumulus, but it's been closed due to some unusual energies on the Cumulus side. So your hovers or my flyer are your best bet for now. If you have a cabbage leaf or a silk cloth. Is there a chance you could have had a silk cloth by now? That means one of the options I didn't look at. Or that I couldn't take because I actually led you to silk cloth. Interesting. Turn to 200. If not, you have no choice but to pay to charge up your hovers. Okay, so I'm going to 346. Yeah, I'm going to use one of my cabbage leaves now, of course, to 200. Cabbage or silk. I would have thought silk was better than cabbage, just a little bit. Let's see, and 80. Pay. If you do not have any gold pieces, you can continue no further when your adventure is over. Okay, so it is possible to get to this point and not have gold, but of course, this being the beginning of the game, you do have the gold. Right, so 200. So clearly, in the beginning, you choose which is your home island, and that affects who your ally is, and also which island you have an ally, because as he said, he would only be your ally on Cirrus. So that sort of has, and of course it also has effects on some of the options, like it said, is this your home island, yes or no? And then of course you have different options. And also there was one, is your ally with you, your specific ally with you, yes or no? And that has, so there's a few things then probably on each island where having that as your home island will make a difference, and having an ally will make a difference. And then, of course, which of those islands is the best one to be your home island is, well, anyone's guess right now. But it's an interesting way to do it, because it gives a little bit of that variety as well. And there may be an optimum choice for home island, of course, that will make it easier to win the game. But I won't know that until I've played it a few times. Right. So I am going to use the cabbage. You hand over the item. Okay, so I'm crossing one cabbage leaf off my equipment list. Greg studies it, trying to gauge whether it might help him fix his beloved flyer. Yes, I think that should do the trick. Now all I need is something to glue it down with. You got anything? If you have some toad goop or healing honey, turn to 340. If not, you will have to charge up your hovers. Oh, I didn't have any of that. Okay. So, 340. And I suppose these are things you would have got on, it just occurred to me, these are things you would have found on other islands, actually. Which means that if this is your first island, you do have to pay to get anywhere, it looks like. Toad goop or healing honey. So healing honey, which means again that there will be loads of stuff to pick up on the other islands, and my equipment list is going to get way too long for the character sheet at the end of the book if I had been using that, which of course I won't ever. I mean, it's not just that I don't like to write in the book. It's the thing that it just feels out of the way. I want it right here in front of me when I'm playing. Right, so I'll have to charge up my hovers and turn to 80. Shouldn't I get my leaf back then? It's going to steal my leaf. Grax gestures to a nearby contraption. Just put one gold piece in the slot and place your hover's storm crystal in the chamber. So, right. And I had, it's a bit of a smudge there now, isn't it? Was it 13 I had? 13? Okay. 12 left then. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yes, I had 13. I found, first I found 2 and then I found 1, didn't I? Or the other way around. Okay. I've got 12. So there's -1 GP. Okay. There's a loud whirring noise, and the little storm crystal begins to glow brightly. The tiniest tempest inside whirls away happily. You're now ready to take off and visit Altos or Cumulus. To fly to Altos, the water island, turn to 164. To fly to Cumulus, the island of trade, turn to 146. I'm going to go to Altos, 164. And I think that the paths are going to merge very quickly with what would have happened if you chose it in the beginning. I'm not sure how quickly. If I put 164 down there, and perhaps Cumulus down here, 4, that's 146, and 164, Altos and Cumulus. Okay, so and then I'll just make a nice little line down there and down there, and that just quick check now and see. 6, 30. Yeah, looks like there's a bit of beginning there that's different. Anyway, so I'm going to go to Altos 164. Hopefully I've made enough room for whatever happens on Altos before you get to the sort of common path. You decide to visit Altos, the water island. You check the hovers, make a running jump, and take off, leaving the green fields of Cirrus behind you. If you had Silas with you, he will stay on Cirrus, and you will lose your attack and damage bonuses. Adjust this on your adventure sheet. Yeah, that's fine. Off he goes. Turn to 103. Okay, so I'll just move up in this direction now, I think. 3. You guide your hovers towards Altos. You've not had a chance to visit it before during your brief time in the Skywatch, and as you descend, the sentient clouds which are found there, known as cloudkin, scatter like frightened sheep. Some of them shed a little water as they float speedily away from you. That's funny. You drink it in the beautiful sight of Altos from above. Lakes, rivers, and waterfalls sparkle in the sunshine. But in your joy at seeing Altos, you fly too close to a mother cloudkin who has several young cloudkin drifting around her. The younger ones flee to their mother in fright and fold themselves into her fluffy, cloudy depths. She angrily lashes out at you with a bolt of lightning, which strikes your hovers and sends you tumbling to the ground. Lose 3 stamina points. That's quite clever, actually. Okay. 11. Okay, I need to eat something, so I'll take some potion or other. If you're still alive, you try to scrape off the worst of the mud. Your hovers aren't badly damaged, but are out of charge, so you will need to find some way of charging them up in order to fly anywhere else. For now, you're on foot. You look for a place to start your investigation. You see a nearby cloudkin farm. Perhaps the farmer will be able to help you with supplies and information. Turn to 30, and I think that's where it actually crosses paths with the other one here as well, it looks like. Okay, so what am I doing? Yes, I need to heal a little bit. So and I need 7 stamina, so I can do the healing potion. That's 4 and 1 ear of corn, and that is me back up to 18. Okay. And I turn to 30. Okay, so I'll just do 30 down there because I'm sure that is part of the other line there as well. Okay. You head towards the farm, and this is where the cloudkin are born and raised when young, before they are let out to roam in the skies above Altus. The Zephyrus tempest preventing them from drifting too far away. There they grow fat with rain and are cared for at ground level by Altus's many farmers, and in the air by canidors, winged dog-like creatures. So this is a canidor in that case. It's like a dog with wings. There you go, canidor. Any island that needs rain or shade can request a herd of cloudkin, which will come to the island and deposit their rain before returning to Altos to be fattened up again. Cloudkin are usually gentle and passive, aside from protective mothers, as you just found out. Now, this sounds like very much one of the sort of fundamental ideas that Rhianna Pratchett would have had when she created this world, the idea of the cloudkin and of course the floating islands themselves. It sort of sounds like sort of very fundamental part of the world building here, which I quite like actually. So far it's a bit different. It's original without being too original, if you know what I mean. If you try too hard to be original, then it tends to just be obvious that that's what you're doing. So it seems good. Anyway. Cloudkin are usually gentle and passive, aside from protective mothers, as you just found out. But as you get nearer, the farm seems unusually quiet. There are no workers outside or candidors in the air, and there are even a few discarded tools lying about. Chill goes down your spine. Something bad has happened here. Suddenly there's a thunderous growl. An enormous black cloudkin floats up from behind one of the farm buildings. Lightning sparking from within its swirling dark depths. This is like no cloudkin you've ever seen before. The energy from the nimbus must have mutated it from a benign rain cloud into an angry ball of stormy energy. And that's this picture here. It looks a bit like something from Chinese mythology, like a Chinese dragon or something, or a Japanese evil spirit. And interestingly, I've noticed now they got the images in some of the early fighting fantasy books. There were sort of text underneath the pictures, captions. This one also has captions. So it says an enormous black cloudkin floats out from behind one of the farm buildings. Just to make sure that you know for sure what the picture is showing, I guess, in case there was any doubt. Here, take this. You turn to see a young woman dressed in waterproof farming clothes. She throws you a cloudkin staff, a special staff used in the farming of the sentient clouds. Add the cloudkin staff to your adventure sheet. Okay, cloudkin stuff. Okay, there's so much stuff here. Okay, so cloudkin. I have to really try to make sure that I write down all of the stuff that you can find so that I know where to find it again when it turns out that something is essential. Okay. Let's subdue this storm, she shouts over the rumbling, thunderous growls of the stormkin. Growls. I go with growls. Growls of the stormkin. With this woman fighting with you for the duration of this battle, you may add 2 points when calculating your attack strength and may increase any damage you cause by 1 point, reduce any damage you suffer by 1 point. Okay, so it's the usual ally bonuses. Seems to be standard, which is all right. This one has got a 10-10. That's quite a powerful opponent, actually. So 10-10, and I've got, for the purposes of this battle, 12-18. Okay, so I've only got a 2 skill point advantage as we go into this one, and this is going to be quite tough. So he rolls 9, we roll 11. Okay, so he's down to 15. He rolls 7, 9. He's down to. I'm reducing my own there. Okay, 7 and then 4. I'm still on 15. No, sorry, 18. Okay. 12, 5. Okay, so that is 1 damage. Now, of course, with an ally, of course, the odds are really in your favor because you take less damage and you do more damage. So 10, 7. Okay, so down to 16. 4, 9, down to 1 left for the Stormkin, and finally 4 and 3, which means the Stormkin is subdued. Okay, and there's a 10 there. Okay. So if you win and Altos is your home island, turn to 353. So this is where you get this person as a permanent ally for the duration of your stay on the island if you were a native of Altos. So 277 or 353. Altos home or Altos not home. Okay, so Altos is not my home, and I go to 277 and take another sip of tea, which is getting a bit cold now, but as I have pointed out on a few occasions, if tea is good, even when it's cold, it actually tastes really delicious. So it doesn't warm you up anymore, it actually cools you down a bit. And it's just really nice. Okay. And the same goes for a good espresso, by the way. If you have really good freshly burnt coffee beans that are freshly ground just before you make an espresso, then it should taste really nice all the way from hot to cold. And you can actually make it last. Or some people like shotting espresso. I don't see the point of that. I like savoring the taste, so you want to sip it. So even a little cup of espresso, I can make that last an hour actually, and just enjoy it slowly. And even when it's cold, it's just really nice. I do add sugar though. I know some people think that's sacrilege, but there was one time. I'm just going to digress a little bit now, just to do an anecdote. So there was one time I went to this this fancy cafe where the barista obviously thought himself quite a bit of a barista, and I asked for a double espresso, which is what I usually do, and he sort of started going on about, oh, but do you want sort of double water or double concentration or double all different kinds of things, and I said I wasn't really that fussed, and what would he recommend? And then I got the espresso and I put in the sugar, and I saw the look on his face. He looked like I was ruining his artwork. He looked like an artist that sort of, you'd taken a big brush and you'd taken a sort of slopped it into a red bucket and just swiped it all over the Mona Lisa. And you can imagine that sort of look. And I was thinking, okay, so maybe this guy doesn't think putting sugar in espresso is a good thing. So yeah, anyway, I put sugar in my espresso and I think it tastes much nicer. Anyway, I'm digressing. Right, where was I? I was at... right, so yes, let's do the paragraph from the beginning then. I think I got a bit sidetracked. Good work, officer, says the Cloudkin farmer, who introduces herself as Nimi. I hate to take out a Cloudkin, but that one was too far gone. You tell her that you are investigating what happened on Nimbus, as the last member of the Skywatch still in Pangaria. He might not be the last one, says Nimi thoughtfully. I went by the watchhouse just before the explosion and I heard snoring coming from inside. Oh, somebody overslept. That's good. Oh, well, it isn't usually, but in this case it's good. Seems that someone else didn't make the meeting. You should probably look into that. Right, well, thank you for your help, officer. I'd better clean this place up, says Nimi, looking around wearily. You're welcome to keep the Cloudkin staff, and could you keep an eye out for Flaps, my best Canidor? Or maybe that is Flaps. Doesn't that look like somebody called Flaps? It does indeed. Yes. Flaps! Yeah, Flaps. Good boy, Flaps. Okay. Most of the Canidors scattered when the explosion occurred and haven't been seen since. I'm really worried about him. Hopefully he's in hiding. He always liked the area up by the Great Waterfall. She reaches into her pocket. This might come in useful too, she says, pressing a pear into your hand. Add the pear to your provisions and make a note that it will restore up to 2 stamina points when eaten. So many provisions. Okay, so we've got a pear. That's plus 2 stamina. Okay. If you choose to use the wooden Cloudkin staff in battle, you must reduce your attack strength by 1 point against opponents that aren't Cloudkin, as it is more cumbersome to use than your short sword. For now, add the staff to your weapons list. Can't I just sort of keep it around and use it whenever I only fight Cloudkin? Right, so that's -1 against non-Cloudkin. Which, let's face it, is most creatures, great and small, I guess, in the world. Okay. If you want to go towards the Altos Watchhouse, turn to 40. Where am I now? Yes. And they got a pair. So there seems to be provisions left, right, and center in this game. It's all over the place. So if you want to go towards the watch house or the waterfall, I'm going to start with the watch house, obviously, and I can only presume I will be allowed to check out the waterfall later. So You set off for the watch house, taking the most direct route through an expanse of marshy land, whilst wondering who might still be left there, and why they missed the meeting on Nimbus. As you ponder this, you hear a low rumbling sound. Fearing it might be another storm, can you ready your weapon? Suddenly a globule of sticky goo flies through the air straight towards you. This sounds like something that could have been useful to have, as the other guy was patching up his balloon, or the Frax, the goblin. Frax? The goblin? Yeah, was it Frax his name? Test your luck. Okay, so we have test luck. Right. I am rolling against 10, and I roll a 7. My luck goes down to 9. And we have 2 options, of course, lucky and unlucky. I'll just put them there. 3, 9, 7, unlucky, and 7. Lucky 7, indeed. Lucky 7, actually. That's unusual. 7 to be a luck roll success. But there you go, 7 luck roll success. Is that the only time in fighting fantasy history that 7 is the successful luck roll result? Maybe it isn't. It might have been by chance at some other time as well. You manage to dodge the incoming globule, but you still have to deal with whatever launched it. A giant toad waddles out of the swamp, blocking your path. It readies itself to launch another gloopy missile in your direction. To fight the creature, turn to 44. If you have a calming potion and want to use it now, turn to 204. Right, so this is actually the first time that you've been asked if you want to use the calming potion without getting the stats for the monster first, which is what it should be like all the time, because if you know the abilities of who you're fighting, why would you want to use it if the odds are already in your favor? So anyway, so I can fight it. It doesn't sound like it should be a very... How big is it anyway? Giant toad. It doesn't say how big it is. So I don't know how scary it is. How scared I should be about it either. 204. So 204 calming potion. I'm just feeling that the calming potion might be needed for something bigger and more badass than a giant toad, don't you think? I'll keep my calming potion. I'm going to fight this toad. I'm going to fight him on the beaches. We'll never surrender. Okay. Right, so here's the... yeah, he's 5'7". That's not bad. Okay. Square up to the giant toad, preparing to battle it to the death. For one of you, at least. I'm not going to battle it to my death. I want to battle it to the toad's death. Okay, so... we have... I am at 10... 18, and the toad is 5'7". So I'm going to 5 skill point advantage. He rolls 6, I roll 8. He's down to 5. I must remember I don't have an ally now. He rolls 11. I roll 4, so I'm down to 16. 5, 8. He's down to 3. 7, 5. He's down to 1. 3 and 9. He is dead. Which means that I win and I go to... I'll just move that up there now. 181. The giant toad disintegrates into a gelatinous heap. That's a good sort of victory line, I think. Bit of variety in these ones. Ooh. Right, that's the end of my tea. From now on, it's water. From here on in. Okay. The giant toad disintegrates into a gelatinous heap. You notice some of the goo sticking to a nearby leaf. It has incredible sticking powers. You wrap the leaf around the sticky substance and carefully tuck it away. Yeah, kids like the all the sort of sticky, gloopy stuff these days, don't they? It sort of seems to be a little bit in fashion to sort of play with sort of sticky goo stuff. Maybe this is a way to try to sort of tempt that sort of the sticky gloop demographic, the ones who really like playing with that. Right. So sticky goop. I've got sticky goop. I'll just put. Yeah, I'll need to use 2 columns, I think, for my sticky goop. For my equipment list here. I'll just put goop on the map. And if you continue to the watch house, no, you continue to the watch house. No if at all. I am going to the watch house. I'm off to see the watch house. Okay. You arrive at the Altos watch house. You try the door but discover it's locked. You press your ear to the wood. As Nimi said, the sound of loud snoring can be heard coming from inside. You need to get inside somehow. If Nimi, I'll go with Nimi. Nimi is with you, turn to 251. If Nimi is not with you and you want to break the door down, turn to 67. If you have some corrosive grapes and you want to use them on the door lock, turn to 380. Okay, that's probably a good one. So, we've got options. 251. Nimi, isn't that that is a comic book character. And come to think of it, when I've seen the picture of the writer, is it in here somewhere? It's not in the book, is it? No. And I've seen the picture of Rhianna Pratchett. She looks a little bit like someone who would like to read Nimi, because it's, yeah. Look it up, you know what I mean. Anyway. Where am I now? 131. Yes, so Nimi is with you. Nimi, question mark. 67. Break door. Or use the Grapes of Wrath. Thank you, John Steinbeck. 380. That's John Steinbeck, isn't it? Grapes of Wrath. I think so. I've not read it. I've heard about it, of course. I feel like I've always known about it for some reason. I have no idea what it's about. I don't know what the grapes are. I presume it's some kind of metaphor or something. Right. So grapes. I'm going to try using the grapes now, because it sounds like this might be the raison d'être to be used on this very lock here. So let's find out. Okay, so we have corrosive grapes. Cross off my list. Remove the corrosive grapes carefully from their pouch. Using your staff, you crush them against the lock of the watchhouse door. The juice begins to eat away at the metal, making a satisfying hissing sound. Soon the lock breaks and you head inside to find the source of the snoring. I noticed that Rhianna Pratchett, when she writes this, she likes using italics whenever there's a sort of a word that indicates a sound that is similar to the word, like an onomatopoeia. Sometimes even when it's just a normal word as well, but like hissing. But she does like to emphasize it with italics, which I found quite interesting. Is this something to appeal to younger readers, perhaps? They like the sort of hissing sound. I don't know. It certainly seems like it's sort of a thing in the way she writes, which actually, I don't mind it. I think actually it's quite nice. Okay, so 306. Let's see what is inside. Okay, who snores, indeed. 306. You step inside the watch house and follow the sound of the snoring. It seems to be coming from the small back room of the barracks. As you enter, you hear a whooshing noise. See again, whooshing, italics there. And catch sight of a log heading towards your face. You don't want that ruining your pretty face, do you? Okay, so test your skill. To test skill. And we've got 2 options there, of course, successful or fail. And 2, 2, 5, success, 1, 6, 0, fail. With an I. Okay. So we got 10 skill, we roll 7, that's fine. Success 225. Otherwise, I think we would have lost a little bit of stamina there. Right, you duck skillfully and roll out of the way. The log whooshes. Ooh. She forgot to put whooshes in italics. The log whooshes by your head. That should have been italics. You have to be consistent now. Okay. If Alto says your home aisle, turn to 348. No. And just when I was pointing out the italics, and suddenly there's the breaking the pattern. Okay. 348. Altos. Home. Doesn't Altos sound almost like one of the 3 musketeers? Could have been. Maybe it's the fifth musketeer, of course, after D'Artagnan as well. Aramis, Porthos, and what's the third one again? Anyone remember? Aramis, Porthos, and No, it's lost on me now. So there's Aramis, Porthos, one more, and then D'Artagnan, and then of course Altos could have been the 5th one, I guess. Right, Altos home or not? So Altos not home, and this is not home. So I go to 110. Yeah, okay. Not sure about the artwork there, but his face look a bit wonky. Anyway, you stand up to see a fellow Skywatch officer looking confused and holding a burning log from the fire. Who are you? The man asks. And how did you get out of the citadel? He stops himself. Oh. I think he's in on it. He stops himself. Do you feel the anger rising within you? Did the Skywatch officer know what was going to happen at the citadel? Before he can react, you pin him against the wall with your sword at his neck and demand he tells you what he knows. Nothing, I swear. I just got a message saying not to go to the meeting at the Nimbus this morning. It didn't say why. When I saw what happened, I decided to hide out here. You ask him who the message was from. He is hesitant to answer, and although you hate to threaten a fellow member of the Skywatch, well, he's not a member of the Skywatch if he's a traitor. This is no time for secrets. You push the cutting edge of your sword against his throat. Easy, you wouldn't kill a fellow Skywatch officer, would you? Relax your grip and lower your sword. The man seizes the opportunity and shoves you back hard. By the time you regain your balance, he has grabbed a sword of his own. Okay, he is in on it. Only one of us is getting out of this watch house alive, and I'm telling you now, pal, it's gonna be me. Yeah. Cocky bastard. Okay. Right, so we are going to do a... Oh, hang on, why am I doing that? I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm just going to write down 7-7, and then I'm going to go to 374 if I win. Okay. So, right, so at the moment I am at 10-18. This guy is 7-7, so I should be alright, I guess. 3 skill point advantage. He rolls a 7, I roll 11. He's down to 5. 10 versus 9, he's down to 3. 9 versus 10, he's down to 1. And finally, perhaps he rolls a 6 and I roll a 9 and he is dead. I've been good rolling today, very good rolling. Very good dice. I'm actually considering getting some other dice just for variety. I mean, I like these ones, but I've just ordered some other dice just to have a few other ones, because these are actually one of the few pairs of 6-sided dice I have that I quite like using. Most of them not so much. So I'll show off those when I get them. Anyway. I won, and I go to 374. Oh, hang on. If you manage to reduce your opponent's stamina score to 3 points or fewer, turn to 374 at once. And interestingly, it says 3 points or fewer, not 3 points or less, which is what most people would say. So this is someone who doesn't use the genitive with the passive progressive, or the gerund rather, and she says 3 points or fewer rather than 3 points or less. Interesting. Okay. Right. You raise your sword to dispense the killing blow. I suppose we have to find out what really happened. No, please, he begs. Don't do this. If you let me live, I won't cause any trouble, and I'll find a way to help you, I swear. Yeah, I don't really believe him, though. I don't trust him. If you decide to let him live, turn to 81. If you think that he must die, turn to 260. Okay, so. Okay. Die or live. Can't we trust him? I mean, he's already sort of shown himself to be a little bit untrustworthy. If I kill him, he won't. I mean, if I don't kill him, he might tell someone. I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I'm gonna kill him. Sorry. It's a tough choice, but I think it's the one I have to make. I have to dispense with justice now. You see before you a fellow Skywatch officer who let his comrades walk into danger and then tried to kill you. But can you really murder one of your own? It's not murder if he's trying. It's self-defense. Thank you very much. Your brief hesitation gives him time to swing his sword upwards toward your leg. You move swiftly, and the blade only deals a glancing blow. Lose 1 stamina point. See? You bring your sword down and finish off the coward. Search his body and find 1 gold piece. And a calming potion. Oh. So with 2 calming potions. Obviously they are meant to be used, not just to be collected. Or maybe you collect them and get the whole set, 1 from each island. Maybe they're different. Maybe there's different vintages as well. Calming potion from 1897. It's got a nice bouquet of lavender and old leather. Right. In his pocket, you also find a crumpled note. It reads, "Whatever you do, don't go to the Nimbus this morning. Your friend, Paxlow." You recognize the name as being that of a goblin who works over on Esperitas, the island of technomancy. You also find an apple. The apple will restore 2 stamina points, so I got an apple there. I'll put it next to the pear. So I'm looking for Paxlow. I got the 1 gold piece, yeah. Also, that's a typo, isn't it? Because it should have "don't go to Nimbus," not the Nimbus, surely. Anyway. Where am I? Yes, so there's -1 stamina. Clue, and okay. Right, you leave the watch house. If you have not already visited the Great Waterfall and want to do so now, turn to 328. I do want to visit the Great Waterfall, I think. So, and 361, find a flyer, or 328 Waterfall. So I'm going to check out the waterfall. See if I can find this canny door that's missing. You head out towards Altus's Great Waterfall. It is a source of water so pure that many Pangarians believe it holds healing properties. Every summer they come to bathe in the azure blue pool at the foot of the waterfall in order to cure all their ills. You climb closer until you find yourself on a rocky outcropping overlooking the pool. The water looks deep and strangely dark. You feel hot and bothered. You've been working hard at your investigations. A nice cool dip in these waters could be just what you need. If you want to take a swim in the lake, turn to 291. If you want to walk along the bank to get closer to the Great Waterfall, turn to 75. If you want to go back and head for the watch house instead, if you haven't been there already, turn to 40. Okay, so I have been to the waterfall. No, sorry, the watch house, of course. So now I've got the option of looking for the waterfall. I'll take a swim. So 291, swim. 75, waterfall. Now, I don't really need so much healing done, do I? I mean, I've only got 1 point of stamina damage, which, well, why not call that stamage? Because if your stamina is damaged, that is stamage, I guess. And also got one scammage as well, skill damage. Anyway, never mind. Just to make up a new phrase there. Right, I'm going to go and check out the waterfall. As you get nearer to the waterfall, you spy tracks in the mud. You crouch down. They look like paw prints, and fresh ones at that. You look up beyond the waterfall and see a goblin flyer moored at the top of the cliffs. You could use it to travel to more of the islands, but is your work on Altos done? If you decide to investigate the paw prints, turn to 299. If you decide to investigate the goblin flyer, turn to 361. So, that is actually 361 right there, and I'm going to examine or explore the paw prints. I'm going to 299. And also my throat is getting a little bit dry. You start to follow the tracks along the bank. After a while, the paw prints become muddy scuffs on the rocks leading to a cave behind the waterfall. If you want to enter the cave, turn to 237. If you want to turn back and head for the goblin flyer instead, turn to 361. So I've got several options now of turning back. Sometimes that's a warning you're going into the mouth of danger, so to speak. Other times it means this is the right way to go. I'm going to try to prevent you from going now by giving you lots of options to turn back. Which is it? As you slowly creep into the cave, you hear the sound that alternates between a growling and a whining. Something large approaches from out of the shadows, eyes aglow. If Nimi is with you, turn to 55. Okay, this might actually be a problem if the owner of the Canidor isn't here, I guess. So let's see. So 55. Nimi or 50. No Nimi. So no Nimi, 50. I'm going to go to 50. Let's hope it's not hostile. Scared though. It could still. Looks a bit more like a wolf in that picture. That looks like a sort of a puppy wolf, and this looks like more like a grown, quite a scary looking wolf actually. Anyway. Shadow unfolds a pair of wings. As it draws closer, you can see it's a Canidor, or at least it was once. Now it's fighting the effects of the surge of elemental energy from the explosion. Its eyes glow with flashes of lightning, while sparks crackle off its fur. You can see a collar around its neck. The name tag reads Flaps. Flaps snarls, revealing wickedly sharp teeth, and he whimpers a little. The elemental energy hasn't completely corrupted him, but it can't be long before it does. If you want to use a calming potion on flaps, turn to 285. That sounds like maybe the right time to use one. If you have Methodus's shard and want to use it on flaps, turn to 265. If you want to fight flaps, turn to 147. If you want to flee, hoping the Canador doesn't pursue you and head for the Goblin Flyer instead, turn to 361. Okay, so again, you can go to the Flyer. All roads lead to the Flyer, it looks like. But now we have lots of options. That's 285. 85, calming potion. And there's something that I haven't seen yet, which presumably is from another island. 265, Methodus shard. 147 fight. So I'm going to try a calming potion now for the first time and go to 285. How do I get him to take the potion though? So calming potion down to 1. You hurl the calming potion towards Flaps, who grabs it in his teeth. The bottle breaks and the liquid pours into his mouth. You'd have to be really lucky to make that happen, wouldn't you? It works quickly and Flaps starts to shrink in size. The glow leaves his eyes and his fur stops sparkling. I suppose it looks more like this now. Flaps licks your face before bounding out of the cave and taking off, heading in the direction of the Cloudkin farm. Add 1 point to your luck score. Okay. Okay, so +1 luck. So up to 10. Very good. You find a longsword lying amongst the rocks and dirt at the back of the cave. Well, that's probably better than the short sword. It sounds like it's... I mean, the short sword is this good. And... oh, I can't do this now. Okay, this good. And the longsword is this good. It's easier here. Okay, so... short sword. Long sword. Oh, long sword. Sorry, it must be better. And I lost my place now. Okay. So I got the long sword. If you use the longsword in battle, you may increase your attack strength by 1 point. So that's a +1 sword, which means that we now got 11 attack strength, which is very good. Leaving the cave if you want to investigate, and of course this is how you have to, this is how weapons should be listed in fighting fantasy game books. I've been saying this time and time again. It should not say add 1 skill, it should say add attack strength. Because when you say add skill, you confuse people by thinking that it conflicts with the other thing, which is your skill can't go above a certain initial score, etc., etc. No, that's not true. Your skill can go above the initial if it is something that actually increases your chances of defending yourself or attacking. But of course, it's not really increasing your skill, it's increasing your attack strength. So that's what it always should say. It did say in Warlock of Firetop Mountain, but then they started messing it up. I don't know why they did that. Anyway, that said, I am going to have 2 options now. I can either go to the 361 again, or you can go to 40, which is to the watch house. Okay, so that is fine. So I'm going to go to 361 finally, because I think I've been where I need to be now. So all these 2 islands now, quite sort of short episodes. So I presume you do these 3 islands, and then you go to what's the other one? The one that's Alteus, was it? The the one with the technomancers. 361, yes. The Goblin Flyer bobs up and down on the breeze as you approach. However, its pilot sits nearby, holding his head in his hands and moaning gently. You recognize the pilot as a goblin named Critch and ask him what's the matter. Bit of rubble hit me upside the head, says Critch. I ain't flying nowhere until I get a bit of healing. But if you're looking to charge your hovers, then the machine is over there. If you want to give him a cabbage leaf of some healing or some healing honey, turn to 20. If you want to charge your hovers, turn to 96. Okay, I'm going to give him cabbage leaf, so I don't have any cabbage leaf left. Let's see, I'll just get my options up here, and I think I'll hopefully I won't need any more. Another page here. Okay, so we've got 20 heal or 96 charge 1 GP. Okay, so I'm gonna give one of my cabbage leaves to him. You give him the supposed cure and tell him that it might help with his current condition. He sniffs it closely. You know, I think you're right, Critch says cheerfully. Give it a few minutes to work and I'm sure I'll be up to piloting the flyer. I'm only licensed to take you to Incus. Take the North Flyer port from there for Asperitas. If you want to visit Cirrus or Cumulus, you'll need to use your hovers. Okay, so if I want to go to Cumulus now, I have to go to... Okay, so there's possibly an order that these ideally should be done. I don't want to miss Cumulus, though, do I? So I suppose what I could do... Yeah. Okay, so I want to go to Cumulus and have a look. So I'm gonna pay 1 gold piece and go to Cumulus. Okay, so I'm gonna 8. Okay, so that's Incus. So I'm gonna go to 96. And remove 1 gold piece. You put 1 gold piece in the slot of the little machine and place your hover's storm crystal inside the charging chamber. There is a loud whirring noise, and whirring this time in regular, not in italics. So it seems that they've been thinking, is this an editorial thing perhaps, where it was intended to be all in italics and it only got half done, maybe? Or they intended to remove all the italics and that only got half done. Either way, it's a minor thing, but it's like consistency. Anyway, and the little storm crystal begins to glow brightly. The tiny tempest inside starts to whirl again. You are now ready to take off and visit Cirrus or Cumulus. If you want to fly to Cirrus, the farming island, turn to 220. If you want to fly to Cumulus, the island of trade, turn to 140. So, 140 it is. So we are here, and that is minus 1 gold piece, and then we go down here. Cumulus. You decide to visit Cumulus, the island of trade. You check the hovers, making a running jump, and take off, the waters of Altos sparkling beneath you. If you had Nemi with you, she will stay on Cumulus, and you will lose your attack and damage bonuses. Adjust this on your adventure sheet and turn to 193. Right. You don't see Cumulus at first, you smell it. The scents drift up to you from the numerous stalls and vendors who trade their wares in the large markets that dominate the island. The soft, spicy smells of gingerbread biscuits and cinnamon milk pudding mingle with the pungent aroma of stink fruit and sizzling fish steaks. By stink fruit, I presume they mean durian fruit, which is also known as stink fruit, because it stinks. Let's be honest. Doesn't smell too bad though. But you can smell a market for quite far off if you're in places like Singapore, for instance, in our outdoor market, because you can smell the durian fruit. Anyway, I think it smells more stinky to some people than it does to others. A humming jolts you from your musings, and the humming, of course, in italics again. And the wings begin to shudder. You tense your shoulders and move your upper body as you try to glide yourself down towards a safe and soft landing before the hover's storm crystal runs out of energy. Test your skill. Skill is 10. I roll a 9. That's fine. Let's put that here. Test skill. And that is 1, 3, 8. Fail. 12. Success. Okay. Going to paragraph 12. You aim for a soft-looking haystack, and just as the wings of your hovers are starting to fold up, you drop safely into the soft, warm hay. A grazing mule gently nuzzles you to your feet. If Cumulus is your home isle, turn to 57. Let's see. So, 57. Home. Or, let's put that not over there. So, 88. Not. It's not my home. The usual bustling sounds of the market are more muted today. You don't see as many stalls open, and the crowds are decidedly sparser than usual. The explosion on Nimbus has driven many indoors, but the stall holders are hardier and want to run and hide if there's even one person to make money from. You need to get some tips on what's been happening around here from the local stall holders, but they won't give up the gossip unless you buy something from them. You browse a nearby stall. You can buy some bread for 1 gold piece, which will restore 2 stamina points, or an apple pie for 2, which will restore 3, or a healing potion for 2 gold pieces, which will restore 4 stamina points. So I'm going to use 2 gold pieces and buy a healing potion. I think I got enough healing, surely. Healing potion plus 4. Okay. And then we go to 227. Okay, so we have 227. You select the item you want to buy, deduct the appropriate number of gold pieces from your total gold, and add the item to your adventure sheet. As you hand over the coins, you tell the goblin trader that you're looking into what happened on Nimbus and ask if he knows anything. Well, business has been a bit slow since the explosion, he explains. Everyone's a little nervous about all the extra elemental energy flying around here, but I ain't budging. You ask him if he thinks there's anyone you should speak with. The goblin sucks his teeth thoughtfully. Well, there's a goblin called Hazi who lives on the far side of the market. He used to work at the Citadel on Nimbus. He might know something. Anyone else? You could always go and see Methodus. He's a Stormborn who works over at the mill. He might know a thing or two about the elemental energy that got released. Now you've got a couple of avenues to explore, but before you set off again, you can purchase the other items if you wish. Be careful out there, adds the goblin trader. There's rumors that the explosion has stirred up some unpleasant beasts. Wouldn't want to lose a good customer like yourself. So, before you head off, you notice a goblin gambling stall. This could be a chance to increase your gold or lose it all. If you want to engage in a game of chance in the hope of increasing your gold, turn to 304. I'm not going to do that, I don't think, unless I had to. If you want to find Hazi's house on the far side of the market, turn to 351. If you want to head over to see Methodus at the mill, turn to 261. Okay, so now we've got a few options. So 304. Gamble. And then there is 351, Hazy, or 261, Methodus. Okay. I know Methodus has something that may be useful. Methodus is shard, of course. It was mentioned in the on the previous island. Might be worth a little look. Maybe one can do both. I'm going to check out Hazy first, presuming I can do the other stuff afterwards. Hopefully. You continue through the main market. A few market goers nervously ask you what's going on and if they are safe. You tell them that you're investigating matters and they should carefully continue their business as normal until they receive further information. Privately, you have no idea what that information is going to be or if anyone is safe, but there's no sense in creating more panic. You're walking, yes, so everyone just be calm. The wings are not on fire. Right. You're walking along, taking in the sights, sounds, and smells at the market when you feel a light tugging at your belt. You turn to see a creature that looks like a cockroach the size of a dog skittering up with your coin bag in its mouth. If your coin bag is empty, turn to 336. If your coin bag still has some money in it, turn to 355. Oh dear. Okay, so. So 336 empty or 355 money. Remove all the gold pieces from the gold box on your adventure sheet. That's a bit rubbish. Okay. No gold. Yeah, I was thinking maybe if I go to the trade place that I'll lose a lot of gold, but okay, so that is minus all gold. If Dav is with you, turn to 141. If not, turn to 307. Okay, so let's see. 141, Dav, or 307. Not. Okay. You can't let your coin bag be taken by this thieving beast. You give chase. The cockroach dashes down an alleyway. You follow and come to a dead end. You look around to see where it could have scurried off to and see a broken storm drain grate, which you might be able to squeeze through, and some steps leading up to the rooftops of some small ramshackle houses. If you want to try the storm drain, turn to 171. If you decide to head for the rooftops, turn to 117. I'm still getting to the place now. I probably should move somewhere else on my map so that there's room for things. If I move up here, that should do the trick. Let's do them like so, actually. So we got the two options there. Okay, so we have storm drain 171. Cockroaches are more sort of undergroundy than rooftopy, aren't they? 117 roof. So I'm going to go the storm drain route. You squeeze your way into the storm drain and drop down into the sewer. The smells down here are horrible compared to those in the market above and make your eyes water. Lose 1 stamina point. So down to 16. As the stench starts to make you feel nauseous. Or nauseated, probably. You study the ground and see small tracks in what you hope is only mud. If you want to follow the tracks, turn to 79. If you would rather leave the sewer and return to the street, turn to 241. So we have That tracks. Or 241. Leave. So I'm going to follow the tracks. Holding your nose, you continue into the sewers, following the creature's tracks. Well, what I hope is the creature's tracks. Turning a corner, you see the giant insect just about to climb up a small pipe with your coin bag in its mandibles. Quickly, you whip out your short sword and hurl it at the retreating bug. Test your skill. Okay, so test skill. Okay, so we've got... and that's 383. Success. 0275. Fail. Okay, so test skill. Skill is 10. We rolled 5. And that's going to 383. Your short sword skewers the creature perfectly. It screeches, shakes, and goes limp. You retrieve your coin bag and the weapon, cleaning it thoroughly. Glittering from inside the pipe draws your eye. Reaching inside, you find 2 gold pieces. Okay, so now I've actually got 12 gold. So I benefited from this in the end. So, so +2 plus all gold. Okay. Turn to 336. So I suppose if you'd failed there, you wouldn't have got your own gold back, but you would still have found the other 2 gold, which I suppose might be enough for you to get off the island, presumably. Yes, 336. And I really need to refill my water because I'm still quite thirsty. You continue your journey across the market. Yeah, that's the right one, isn't it? Yeah, this time being more wary about who or what might be following you. You've not been traveling for long when a young goblin comes running up to you with an anxious look on his face. I heard you were looking for me, he pants, struggling to catch his breath. This is definitely no Stormborn, so it must be Hazi. Do you have any news about him? Did he send you? Confused, you ask who he is referring to. Vizig the Elder Technomancer, of course. You mean he hasn't sent word? You shake your head and explain that you're investigating what happened on Nimbus and were told you should speak to him. Hazi sinks down on a crate, looking miserable. I used to be an apprentice of his before he retired. He always comes here to have breakfast, but today he missed it. With no explanation. If you're heading to Asperitas, do you think you could check his house? I don't have enough coin for the flyer ride. You assure him that you will. Thank you, officer, says Hazi, looking a little more relieved. You ask him whether he has any idea what might have happened on Nimbus. I've not worked there for a few years, but I still can't understand what could have caused the crash. Nimbus, like all our islands, is held up by large storm crystals. And like the crystals in your hovers, the island crystals are strong enough to hold their energy perpetually. If the crystals failed, then something caused that to happen. I fear it was no accident. And of course, the crystal that we picked up earlier is going to give us some of the... just like wreckage after a plane crash, it will give you some idea of what actually happened. Add the code word Hazi to your adventure sheet. Okay, so code word, I'll just put that over here. Hazi. If you have the storm crystal shard from Cirrus, turn to 282. Okay, so that's relevant now. So we have... okay, so 282 shard or 185 no shard. Okay, so I do have that, and I go to 282. You show Hazi the storm crystal shard you picked up on Cirrus. He examines it closely. This doesn't look like it's from one of the Nimbus storm crystals, but it's definitely come from something very large, much larger than you would find used in most of the technomancy in Pangaria. That's interesting. He sniffs the black substance on the shard. Oil, he exclaims. This type is most popular on Asperitas. How strange. He hands the storm crystal shard back to you. If I were you, I'd take this to Methodus over at the mill. He might be able to tell you more about where it came from. Turn to 185. Okay. You reassure Hazi that you will check in on Vizig on the Spirit House, and the goblin thanks you. He reaches into his robe and passes you a couple of items, a piece of dried cuttlefish and an ornate dagger. So, again, more stuff. Okay, so we've got cuttlefish, +2. And the ornate dagger will add 1 point to your attack strength if used in battle, same as the long sword, so I'll just use the long sword for now. Because you can't use both at the same time. It says so in the rules. Makes sense, doesn't it? You notice a sign pointing the way to the local Goblin Flyer. Goblin Flyers, isn't that the same as in World of Warcraft, by the way? Like the airships. Yeah. Someone has definitely played World of Warcraft, I think, before writing this. Anyway. Who hasn't? Who hasn't? I mean, yeah. We've all been there. Right. Where are we? If you want to go to the mill and haven't done so already, turn to 261. If you want to go to the flyer, go to 27. Okay, so it's either the mill, which is not dark or satanic, hopefully, or to the flyer. So 27, flyer, or 261, mill. So that's a Methodus. And we're going to see Methodus. You make your way around the edge of the market, heading towards the mill. The ground begins to rumble beneath your feet. Market goers start sprinting for cover, and before you can ask what the fuss is about, the only shopkeeper left nearby shouts, "Run!" before quickly pulling down the wooden shutter on his shop with a loud clonk. And again, the clonk, the onomatopoeia, is in italics. If Dav is with you, turn to 399. If Dav is not with you, turn to 311. So Dav, obviously the ally, the companion, travel companion for this island. 399. Dav, or 311. No Dav. So, no Dav. And let's see how we get on. You can see the earth bucking and cracking as something burrows through the soil towards you, sending market stalls flying. With hands shaking, you select your best weapon as a huge worm-like creature erupts from the ground. Seems to have no eyes, but it makes up for that with the number of glistening fangs it has in its huge gaping mouth, which is heading straight for you. And that's this charming creature here, which that's from Dune, isn't it? Or possibly from Star Wars. Anyway, it's got 8 Tunneler Beast, 8. So it's got I've got at the moment 11, 16, and this beast has 8, and I've got an advantage, skill advantage of 3, so that should be enough. So he rolls 7, I roll 11, he's down to 6. He rolls 6, I roll 7, he's down to 4. He rolls 2, very good. I roll 3, he's down to 2. And finally, perhaps he rolls a 4 and I roll an 8. And so he is dead, and I've been quite lucky with my rolls today, actually. I've been so lucky with my rolls, perhaps I should bake some. But yeah, I know, that's a terrible wordplay there. Okay. 289, if you win, 289. Okay, so just make a note of it. 8, 9, and then we win, and we go to 289. Okay. With an enormous shudder, the creature crashes to the ground. Slowly, the market goers return and start poking at the huge corpse. Nice work, officer. Do you think this can be roasted, stewed maybe? Worth a try. The stallholder cautiously raises his shutter. Well, I never. You got it. Here, take some dried stink fruit and silk cloth on the house. Okay, there's a silk cloth there. Silk cloth and stink fruit. You can add the silk cloth and the 2 dried stink fruit to your adventure sheet. So, so that's 2 stink fruit, and that's +2. And you head for the mill. Turn to 64. Okay, so I'll just put that up there. 64. I suppose if Dav was with you, he would have you would have been able to take cover and not had to fight the beast, probably. The mill is quiet when you reach it. Perhaps the workers were sent home after the explosion. You look up at the windmill. There's no breeze, so the sails are still. There's a loud whooshing sound. Again, italics, whooshing. Yeah, why not? And what looks like a mini cyclone emerges from the structure. Before you know it, you're flung onto the ground. Lose 2 stamina points. I'll need to eat something soon. And find yourself being pulled across the ground towards the swirling mass. Turn to 104. Okay, so we got 104. The whirling mass lifts you into the air, higher and higher. Even if you had charge left in your hovers, they wouldn't help you in the midst of this chaotic wind. You struggle and flail against the invisible force. Then suddenly you're falling. You expect to feel the crush of the cold, hard ground, but instead you're caught in mid-air by ethereal arms. The figure floats to the ground and places you down safely. I'm sorry about that, says the figure. I had no idea anyone was out here, and the storms can be quite temperamental, especially at the moment. You're being addressed by a Stormborn, one of the intelligent wind spirits that create and harvest crystals within the storms that rage across the Sea of Tempests. The figure, who you rightly assume to be Methodus, waves his hands through the air like he is conducting an invisible orchestra, and the cyclone slows its whirling and glides towards the windmill. It spreads out over the sails, and they creak into life. How may I help you, officer? You tell Methodus that you're looking into what happened at the Nimbus. Now it's the Nimbus again, but surely it's Nimbus because it's not the, is it? Or do they call the headquarters of? Let's check that now. Do they call it the Nimbus, the main citadel? On Nimbus. Nope, they don't. So the again is a typo. So there's another typo there. Because it's not a ship or anything, is it? It's an island, so it's Nimbus, not the Nimbus. There we are. Cross out the. Okay. We Stormborn are very. We Stormborn very concerned. Oh, another typo right there. We Stormborn are very concerned by what happened. He says, sadly, all of us who live and work in Pangaria felt it in every fiber of our beings. That means the amount of elemental energy released must have been immense. Many storm crystals must have been broken. Of course, we try to reach the Nimbus, but although we can pass safely through the storms that surround it, there is a warding spell around the island preventing Stormborn from entering. Someone clearly doesn't want us interfering. Yeah. Write the code word bubble on your adventure sheet. Okay, so we got Hazi and we got bubble. If you have the storm crystal shard from Cirrus, turn to 5. Okay, so we've got so 205 shard or 5. Hang on. Not 5 shard and 205 not. Okay, so I'm turning to 5 because I've got that one. You show Methodist the storm crystal shard and explain how you came by it. A strange expression crosses his face which you can't quite read. He studies the object, running his translucent hands over its faceted surface. This isn't like any crystal I've ever seen before. It's large, not as large as the ones that power the islands, but too big to be used in hovers or flyers. He touches the marks on the inner side of the crystal. These marks are where the crystal's energy must have broken out, become unstable. Whatever happened to this one, it was broken from the inside out. The black residue on the outside is some kind of oil. That's all I can tell you for now. I must continue my work inside. There is bread to be made. Good day to you. He hands the storm crystal shard back to you. If you feel like you've heard all you need to, turn to 205. If you think he's hiding something and want to secretly follow him, turn to 121. That's an interesting option. He just did seem a little bit evasive. I think he knows more than he's letting on, actually, to be honest. So 205 or 121. Follow him. What's the worst that could happen? You wait out of sight until Methodist has gone back into the mill and then quietly approach. You walk round the outside of the building until you find a small window. Climbing on some flour bags, you look through it and see Methodist sitting cross-legged whilst floating in the air and looking like he is in a trance. That's a strange way to make bread. One of the bags shifts beneath you and you gasp as you fall to the ground, lose 1 stamina point. There's a lot of these sort of micro stamina losses, I should call them perhaps. You look up and see Methodist staring down at you from the window. You'd better come inside, officer. Turn to 46. So 46, there we are. 46. On entering the mill, you can see that the circle Methodist was floating above is covered in strange symbols. You ask what exactly he's doing, fearing that he may somehow be involved in the fall of the Nimbus. I'll just get used to the "the" now, because it's all over the place. When the explosion happened, there was a Stormborn present, he explains. I felt their energy and also felt it leave after Nimbus fell. Perhaps they were there when it happened and fled from the scene, or maybe they're trapped down there. I don't know. I was trying to reconnect with their energy, but no matter what I do, I can't or I couldn't until I touched that shard you brought me. It has the same energy. You ask him what he means by that. You may not know this, but each storm crystal is intrinsically imprinted with a mark of its maker. These are invisible to all but other Stormborns. The shard you had was made by a Stormborn called Boreas. He's an elder of our tribe, but he's not been seen for a while. So, of course, just to do a little bit of Greek mythology now. If you remember in the beginning, Zephyrus is, of course, inside which the Eye of Zephyrus is where these islands, Pangaria, is. And of course, Zephyrus from Greek mythology is the west wind, or the god of the west wind. Boreas is the god of the north wind, if I remember correctly. Which is why you called things in the north boreal. That's where it's from, actually. Aurora Borealis, which means northern nights. There's a boreal, the boreal pine forest, of course, the big belt of conifer trees up in the north, which of course is in a way more productive than the rainforest when it comes to creating oxygen, because it doesn't use as much as it makes. Anyway, so Boreas, yes, North Wind. He's an elder of our tribe, but he's not been seen for a while. It pains me to admit this of another Stormborn, but Boreas is involved somehow. He's telling the truth. You can feel it in your bones. Yeah, that's where you got a lie detector, isn't it? Methodist passes you a small crystal. It looks like a blank version of the one you have in your hovers. You might need this, officer. You seem like the type that gets themselves into danger. There are a lot of nasty energies around, and this will remove them from an infected creature, just as long as it's not too far gone. So this is the one I could have used on the Canidor at the Waterfall on Altos, I suppose. Was it on Altos? Yeah. Anyway, so I got Methodist's, what do you call it? Methodist's shard. So Methodist shard. Now this is by far, I mean, this is almost the same amount of items you can pick up in all the fighting fantasy books I've played put together. It's so much. Okay. Once the animal has been taken over entirely, the crystal won't work. One use only, I'm afraid. Add Methodist shard to your adventure sheet and add 1 point of luck. Okay, so my luck is actually back to the beginning of my score, my initial score. So +1 luck and shard Methodist. So let's put Methodist. So this is clearly what I'm meant to be doing there. Although it's really linear now, because in a way, because you don't have that many options that lead you anywhere else. You feel like when you've done these 3 islands that you've actually been everywhere, pretty much. Add the code word Boreas. Okay, so that's my 3rd code word there, Boreas, to your adventure sheet if you haven't already. Oh, you can get it in other ways. There's nothing more left to do here. If you want to look for Hazi in the market and haven't done so already, turn to 351. If you want to find the local goblin flyer and head on for the other islands, turn to 27. So that is what I will have to do next. So that is down there to 27. You follow the signs towards where you would expect. Actually, I should be eating now. So I've got 13. I need 5. 5 stamina, so I'm going to do 1 of my healing potions, maybe. No, I'm going to do an ear of corn for 3. And then I'm going to do 1 of my stink fruits, just to get the smell away, and go up to 18. So I'm back to 18 now. You follow the signs towards where you would expect to find Cumulus's goblin flyer, but as you near the dock, you can see no sign of it. At first you think it must be traversing one of its routes, but then you hear a plaintive help, help, anyone, everyone! You peer over the edge of the dock and see the goblin pilot hanging off the edge of some rocks below. The goblin looks very relieved to see you. Could you possibly give me a hand here? You pull the goblin to safety and she introduces herself as Daxa. That Nimbus explosion completely took out my flyer, she explains. Blew it right down into the ocean. Luckily, I managed to jump out when I did, or I'd probably be in some great white squawk's belly by now. Yes, that's great white squawk, not great white shark. Interesting. Right, great white squawk. You explain that you were hoping to visit the other islands. Well, until I get another flyer, you won't be able to get to Incus or Asperitas, Daxa says sadly, but I'll charge your hovers for free, and that will get you to Cirrus or Altus. You can take the flyers from there. She points to a long bridge nearby, half shrouded in clouds. Normally you could take the sky bridge to Cirrus, but it's been closed due to some unnatural disturbances around the bridge at this end, Daxa explains. Of course, if you can deal with that, I'd be happy to reopen it, especially as my best aeronaut's helmet got thrown there during the crash. If you can make the bridge safe again, then the helmet is yours. That might be useful. If you want Daxa to charge your flyers for free and fly to Altos, turn to 342. If you want Daxa to charge your flyers for free and fly to Cirrus, blah, blah, blah. If you want to investigate the sky bridge, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that means I can go to, let's see, Cirrus 320. Altos 342. I'm just checking the paragraph numbers now. It was 40. There was a different paragraph than the one we've had before for Altos. Okay, so if I do, maybe I should make this green to make it a little bit more obvious that this is a big journey. At 342 Altos, and maybe I should just put them up here. Okay, so if I put the options up here. Okay, so 1, 2, because there are different paragraph numbers from the ones you had before, it looks like. So if I do like so, 342 Altos, 320 Cirrus, or 233 Bridge. I'll check out the bridge. I'm a bit curious about the bridge, actually. Maybe I should do a save game now. Just, oops, sorry, the finger in the book method. But I'll check out the bridge. Okay, so the helmet might be useful. You pluck up the courage and decide to try the Sky Bridge. If you have Dab with you, he will stay on Cumulus and you will lose your attack and damage bonuses. You step onto the bridge, it sways gently beneath you. Somehow it feels less safe than wearing the hovers. You take a deep breath and, putting one foot in front of the other, begin to cross. You notice that, although you can see the end of the bridge on Sirius, part of the bridge near Cumulus... Hang on, is it Sirius I'm going to, actually? I'm not meant to go to Sirius, I'm meant to go to Altos. That just occurred to me. I'm not going to do the bridge then, am I? Or should I? Well, okay, I'll just keep going now. As you approach, you can hear a hissing sound, of course, hissing in italics again, coming from within. Something long and scaly scythes in and out of the mist. Will you continue into the mist, or return to Dax and try another route? Okay, so... So mist, 327, mist, or 180, return. So I'm going to go into the mist. You decide to confront whatever lurks in the mist. As you get closer, your mist begins to undulate as the hissing creature comes closer. It rises out of the fog, lightning rolling off its long, scaly body. It's a lightning serpent, a rare and extremely dangerous beast. And now you're going to have to deal with it. Okay, so, and this is a scary one, it looks like, because not only does it have 9/9, it's got special rules. If the lightning serpent makes a successful strike, roll 1 die. If you roll a 4 to 6, it does double damage. If you hit it using a metal weapon, roll 1 die. And if you roll 5 or 6, you suffer 2 stamina points of damage too, as you are electrocuted. Okay. But I suppose I should use my Cloudkin skull stuff in that case. It's a bit risky because I would have 1 less attack strength, but no, I think actually I will be better off using the one of my +1 weapons, because I have a 2 less skill is yeah, no, that's okay. This could be really tough, and it's a good thing I put in a save game there, because this could actually kill me. Okay, so 11, 18. I've also got 11 luck. I think I may need to use luck in this one. So, and this one has 9. Now let's just do this slowly so I don't make any mistakes. I've got a 2 skill point advantage to start with. So it rolls 12. Not a very auspicious start, is it? I roll 7. Okay, so he hits me. And then I roll 5, so he does double damage. Okay, so I'm down to 14. He rolls 5. I roll 6. Okay, so I hit him, and then I have to see if I roll a 5 or 6. I don't, luckily. And then I want to roll for luck to do extra damage. So I rolled a 4. My luck goes down to 10, and I do 4 damage. So it's down to 5. Next round, he rolls a 12 again. Oh my. And I rolled a 7. And let's see if he rolls 4 to 6. Yeah, he does. So double damage again, and I'm down to 10. He rolls 10. I roll 5. And he does double damage. Ooh. He rolls a 7. I roll an 8. I roll a 2, so I don't get extra damage from the metal. And then I will roll against luck to see if I can do extra damage to him. So 10. Yeah. So my luck is down to 9, and he's got 1 hit point left. But I've only got 6. He rolls 12 again. Okay, I do need new dice. I do need new dice. And I roll 6, and he rolls 2. So at least he doesn't do double damage this time. Only 2. But that means if he hits me once more, that could actually be the end of it. He rolls 11, and I roll 8, and he rolls 6 and does double damage, and I am actually dead. Yes. Okay. That is quite harsh. But I did save my game. So I'm going to continue from this spot next time. I think this is quite long enough. I'm not going to continue today, but I am going to do this thing again next time. Okay, so let's put in the winning one there, 95 win. So yeah, a very, very hard battle, that one. So at my save game point now, so I would have 11 luck going into the battle, and otherwise it's exactly the same as before. And I've saved my game here. So that's my save game. That's save game. So save game. Okay. So I'm going to start from there next time. So that is a really, really tough battle, I must say. Now, although I think I did rather well until I died, really. But yeah, what do I think about this book? Because, I mean, this is a new book now, and I probably should say a few words about it. I really like the way this is structured. I'm not sure about the amount of items. I think that is a little bit much. What I think should have been the case, I know that some of the food items are actually specifically you need one or something else, like the cabbage leaves, for instance. But I think that a more streamlined way of doing it was to actually have a provision system, and just most of these food items, you could just say add 1 provision to your character sheet. In many cases, you actually get 2 items that together add up to 4 stamina points anyway. So you could actually have used the traditional provision system and say that you find 2 dried fish, add 1 provision to your character sheet, for instance. It would have cleaned up a little bit of the mess of all the stuff that you're dragging along with you. Apart from that, it seems well written. Quite linear. Very few actually decisive choices are made so far. I mean, most of the choices really, it's quite obvious what you have to do. Not obvious exactly what order you have to do things in, but of course it seems to be like whatever I did seems to work reasonably well. Although it looks like the best order to do is to do Cirrus first, and then Cumulus, and then Altos last. Because that's where you need to go to get the transport to it's Altos, isn't it? Yeah, to to go off those 3 islands into Alteus. Alteus is Alteus. That was the other ones. Let's see. Where are we now? Asperitas. Sorry, not Alteus. Where did Alteus come from? Anyway, Asperitas. I quite like it so far, actually, and let's see how we get on next time. So, thanks very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. I'm actually quite enjoying this book. It's, I would say, it is better than many of the old ones in the franchise. It's yeah, it's reasonably well written. It's well written. Let's be honest. Got some small editorial mistakes that could have been weeded out, but nothing major. As I know people have been going on about on the Facebook group about how the cover seems a bit unappealing to them, but of course it's not meant to appeal to people in their 40s who used to play this when they were young. It's meant to appeal to new readers, and I think it does. I find it actually, it's a little bit growing on me. I think it's quite a nice cover, all in all, and yeah. And the creature is quite cute. The cloud there is quite cute. Why not? Why not cute? What's wrong with cute? Inside the book, there are definitely creatures that are not cute at all. That are quite nasty, actually. And I think that makes up for it, really. So I think that's it for me for today. And I will be back with more possibly tomorrow, and see if I can. Although probably I will add an extra day between posting the videos. I don't want to do them all too close together when I get this kind of length. So, so 2 days from now, if you're watching this, 2 days from now, I will post the next episode regardless of when I record it. And I hope you will enjoy that too. I'm looking forward to it. I will start from the bridge. I will try to see if I can beat this creature again. If I fail one more time, I will give it up and I will go back and go to Altos without fighting the lightning serpent, which of course is an optional thing, but it may give me an advantage later. But then again, if it kills me, that's not much of an advantage, is it? So, right, I think that's no more jabbering, no more digression. I think because I've had a few digressions today, and I'll just end by saying thank you very much for watching, and please like, share, subscribe, comment, join me on Patreon, all those things if you really like what I'm doing on YouTube. And if you watched all the way to the end, I'm sure you actually do enjoy my videos, so please consider doing those things, and share as well, of course, if you know anyone else who might be interested in watching this. And yes, I think that's it. I'm losing my voice now because I need to drink more water and I probably need to eat something. So goodbye for now. Bye bye.